To one, collaborate with the relevant regulatory agencies and other stakeholders in the aviation sector to ensure that all the acquired landing equipment category 3 ILS and other supporting equipment are installed in designated airports without further delay to control further incidents of flight diversions in our airports. And all policies must start to pass out in focus of further
Honorable Valente.
Thank you, Mr.
Is the German aviation here? None. Aviation. Okay. Honorable Raji, let's add some flesh to it.
Mr. Speaker, we are all aware of the embarrassing situation that we are currently facing as a with the diversion of flights, international flights coming into the country into neighboring countries like Ghana and the South movement, such that our people are constantly being, apart from the hardship they face as a result of poor landing facilities at our airport, they also suffer financial losses, and it has gotten to a situation that we need to act immediately, to correct this anomaly. Because apart from the financial losses, it also affects the image of the country. And we are a country that requires international, foreign direct investment. International businesses, businessmen coming to the country, are now being subjected to additional expenses to ensure that because of this delay and outside cancellation. And we are aware from the report that the landing equipment, INS category 3, has been installed in the at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. But unfortunately, the calibration and some other supporting facilities, that will make this INS function efficiently, such that even at zero visibility, that flight, airport cabin pilots can land and take off from our airport, have not been installed. So as a result, we are facing this embarrassing situation, and today, apart from economic losses that we are suffering, the image of the country is also being impacted. So it's necessary that we out to take to direct the relevant committee to liaise with the regulatory agency within the aviation industry to correct this anomaly at the earliest possible time, so as to save Nigerians and the members of the international community that deal with the business report, they can save them current embarrassing situation. So, I urge my colleagues to support this program so that we are safe from this embarrassing.
Honorable last word.
Thank you, the right honorable speaker. My name is Babajide Abdul. I represent our people, Shaki, and that for this program. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, and last week, aircraft coming to Nigeria, especially those who go to Lagos, were diverted. Some to the foreign countries, Ghana, that's Accra. Some as far as Dakar, and some to Abuja. Mr. Speaker, the minister came out to tell us that they wanted to upgrade the different landing system island from category 3, which is a good idea on its own, but the planning was very poor. Number one, why did you decide to change the island at the point that we have very bad weather, inclement weather? You want planes to land at 0 degrees. Why don't they manage the ones that they have on whether it's like March or April before they need to move? Number two, it was reported in the media that the equipment that some companies were losing. So it's very amazing that a new equipment, supposedly, they have some different companies. We need to investigate that. Number three, the agency of the federal government responsible for air navigation number. In a word to Nigeria, it was the aviation minister that came out to speak. In a way, the independence of these agencies are being compromised. What are the powers of the minister and the board or the CEO of the agencies when we have matters like this? I think they owe us an explanation. In the media, it was reported that we have lost about 5 million euros, that's over 2 billion naira, for that diversion. And to make matters worse, we want Nigerians to be patriotic, we want them to love our nation. But when there are challenges, it's like we abandon them. Some people were brought to Abuja by a foreign airline. They were lodged at Sheraton. When it was time to move to Lagos, they told them to find their ways. I've never heard of that in all the years I've traveled. And over 300 of them, they provide accommodation for only 200. So some Nigerians slept on the corridor. Mr. Speaker, these are very serious issues. This parliament is for the Nigerian people, and we must stand to protect their rights at every point in time. So thank you so much for this opportunity. The House should go beyond even what the mover is saying to do a thorough investigation on this issue. Thank you.
Honorable Ifeanyi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Ifeanyi Chudimoma. I represent the people of Ihiala Federal Constituency. I'm from Anambra State. I must indeed commend Honorable Raji for bringing this motion, Mr. Speaker, because this has been a plight that has been going on in the last few days. Our people have been suffering enormously from this. And the funny thing about this whole thing is that there's been some sort of brickbats being thrown around by the agencies in the aviation ministry. We have the information that yes, the ILS, which is supposed to provide the precision, the vertical and horizontal precision for the pilots to land at a very convenient rate, even if the weather is inclement or favorable. We have the reports that this ILS category 3 has been provided. The calibration aircraft that is supposed to calibrate it is already there. But the agencies keep dilly-dallying with this issue. One would say, fans said that they don't have the runway lights and the searchlights for it, that they need to upgrade it to category 3. So I think it's a very, very indeed motion of urgent public importance, and I would like to commend the mover once again and commend this house and let us push this thing so Nigerians can indeed see that we're actually fighting for them, because this is a very, very, very serious issue that they are going through. You can imagine the image it portrays for us outside this country. And we know that air transportation now is one of the safest means, considering the insecurities and the hazards that we experience on the roads. So thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Faleke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is James Abiodun Faleke. I represent Ikeja Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I lend my voice to support this motion because she's so weighty, so embarrassing that we find ourselves in this situation in this country. A situation where taxpayers' money have been used to buy equipment, and for the negligence of workers at those agencies, those equipments are not working or have not been fully installed. It is highly embarrassing. I also, lend my voice to the issue of diversion of aircrafts. Yes, for safety reasons, aircrafts have to be diverted since the planes cannot land. But if those planes, have been diverted, and the passengers have been accommodated either in Abuja or any other place, it is the duty of those airlines to ensure that those passengers get to their destinations by arranging a local airline. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I would like to add an amendment later to request a further investigation to all the aircrafts that have been diverted and their passengers who have been so not compensated to be adequately compensated, investigated and compensated appropriately. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I also think that the head of the agencies should be critically addressed as to their negligence for embarrassing this country. For me, I read on social media, newspapers, general news, it is bad, very, very bad, apart from revenue loss, apart from every other thing. I think the image of Nigeria has been battered in this area. Not that the equipments are not there, not that the funds have not been provided, but just that these equipments have not been fully installed. It is not negligence of the executive, but those involved must be held responsible. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Honorable Gary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleagues. My name is Honorable Igariwe Ibuma Enwo, member representing Afikpo North, Afikpo South Federal Constituency. I'm from Ebonyi State. Mr. Speaker, so much has been said about how embarrassing the diversions have been. But I just want to speak on the economic consequences of lack of these instruments in our airports. Mr. Speaker, airplanes are designed to fly for 24 hours. But in Nigeria, you find out that our planes only fly from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Aside Abuja Airport or Lagos Airport, you find out that most planes can't fly in the evenings. And this affects the operations of most of these our airlines. And that is why most of our airlines are not doing well. Many of them are going under. Mr. Speaker, the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan is expected to encourage diversification of our economy from oil. The aviation industry is expected to contribute about 10% to our national economy, but today it is not doing that because our aircrafts are not operating optimally. So my take is that it is important that we install these equipments so that our aircrafts can fly 24 hours like they do in other climes. Right now, most airplanes can't go to any of the airports because of visibility issues, and that has greatly affected operations of most of these airlines, and many of them are not doing well. So I speak strongly in support of this motion that we do the needful and encourage the federal government to install these equipments so that we can operate like in other climes. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Toby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I want to thank I'm Toby Okechukwu. I represent an area of Goji River Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my colleague Raji for raising this issue pertaining the sufferings of our people at Mauritania Mohammed Airport. The traveling public are daily exposed to unwarranted hazards because somebody is not able to do his job. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, it is quite unfortunate that we should be exposed to this level of perdition with regard to air travel. The instrument landing system is there, and we are talking about calibration. And you want to talk about calibrating it for past 3 months. Mr. Speaker, I do not think that we should even be talking about this. The people who are responsible for this situation should simply go. They are negligent. I wouldn't understand, before you remove a navigational aid, that the replacement should have been there. And the calibration should be immediate. Not for a premier airport like Mauritania Mohammed International Airport. You know the number of passengers that pass through there annually. How can Nigerians be sent to Ghana and they are asked to fend for themselves on how to get back to Nigeria? How can they be dropped at Abuja and you are responsible for yourself? Where does that happen? We are not talking about the economic consequences. What of the local airlines that are traveling, that are moving? It means you can, aircraft like drones, you can take off and land without even being manned. That is how aircrafts are designed. But the navigational aids ought to be there. And we are talking of a situation where international airlines are coming in, is not there. Now we are exposing our local aircrafts, local travelers, and the pilots to just guesswork. And you know what the weather is like. Mr. Speaker, I believe strongly that, look, the House should look into this. Find out those who are responsible, the level of negligence that has occurred in this instance, and the House committee should take it up, investigate it, and get back to the House within 2 weeks. You know, and how can Honorable Faleke come here and begin to talk about that is not executive? Now it is the legislature that is responsible for manning we are responsible for the instrument.
What did Honorable Faleke say?
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Faleke said that it is the head of the agencies that are responsible, not the executive. I say the head of the agencies are legislators here now. The head of the agencies in NAMA, in FAN, are now the legislators. If he says that they are not members of the executive, they are members of the executive, and they should be responsible for this. And the heads.
I think what Faleke was saying is they are executive, the box stops at their desk, but the direct responsibility belongs to the agency. That's simply what he was saying. And I agree with him.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've seen that you think for Mr. Faleke now. But the point must be made that, look, the agency heads, they report to people. And they report to the minister reports to Mr. President. Anytime they fail in their responsibility, it is your next boss that should call you to order. So I believe that, look, we don't need to shift the responsibility here. We hold them accountable. Those who are desk officers as heads of the agencies and those who they report to. How can this even come up for discussion? That you can't have an instrument landing system. It should not be, look, it should not be up to this parliament. Action ought to have been taken before now. So, honorable colleagues, this is a very, very serious matter, and that we should not take it lightly. So I call on my colleagues to support the motion and it should be carried. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Oh, Honorable Nkiru, unfortunately, we just put the question because you used to be chairman aviation. You'd have had very. Oh, okay. The gavel has not come down, so we'll take the amendments. Honorable Raji, what was your prayer? What was your prayer? Because I don't think your prayer was strong enough. What was your prayer?
No, that the aviation committee on aviation should liaise with the relevant agencies to ensure that factors no, sorry, please. I'm not amending it. Wait, I'm not amending. Excuse me. That the mandate the committee, the House Committee on Aviation, to collaborate with the relevant regulatory agencies and other stakeholders in the aviation sector to ensure that all the acquired landing equipment category 3 ILS and other supportive equipment are installed in the designated airports without further delay to forestall further incidents of flight diversion in our airspace, and urge the committee to revert to the House within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Thank you.
4 weeks? I thought it was a motion of urgent public importance. Any amendments? Honorable Faleke.
Thank you, sir. My name is James Abiodun Faleke. I represent Ikeja Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleague, my amendment is that all passengers on the aircraft that are diverted to other airports and whose costs of getting to their original destination were not taken care of should be collated and their costs refunded by the agencies who are responsible for this anomaly.
Honorable Faleke's amendment is that all those affected should be adequately taken care of and compensated. I think before we second the amendment, which I agree with, I think we should, the committee or anybody here, we should draw up a passenger bill of rights as a law, because the way passengers are treated in Nigeria today is it's almost an abuse of their human rights. So a passenger bill of rights is required by law, not even motion. So anybody to second the amendment by Honorable Faleke? No, you don't. Yeah. You don't want to. Wait. Second is what we're looking for. You cannot debate the amendment. Are you debating his amendment? There's no way out, but I will allow you. Yes.
It cannot be borne by the agency. Rather, the airline should refund such money because it's under competition law. Under competition law, the passengers have a right to seek refund from the airline. So if we are really saying that the airline have gone wrong, that means we should direct such to the airline, not the agency. So,
no, wait a minute. Faleke's amendment was that the passengers be compensated by the agency, right? And you are saying by the airline. What did the airline do wrong? That they must compensate. What did the airline do wrong? How were they negligent?
It's not the airline's fault.
Of course, the airline is the airline's fault. Why I say it's the airline's fault, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleague, when you divert a flight for an emergency to a different place,
It is the airline that checks you into a hotel. And it is the airline that makes arrangement to transport you back to the original destination. I mean, of course, I've entered. Mr. Speaker, I enter a flight from Murtala Mohammed Airport. I enter a flight from to Schiphol Airport. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleague, our flight was diverted. And when our flight was diverted, it is the airline that bore the expenditure of this. In this instance, Mr. Speaker, in this instance,
Honorable Udin,
that the airline will bore
Honorable Engineer Udin,
expenditure of the people that they have diverted to.
No, sir, no, sir.
Honorable Osai, I think in most cases where an airline compensates, I think they compensate when the issue directly is their fault, or they've been negligent, or or even in inclement weather that is not their fault, you know, and or an act of God, maybe they can compensate, as that's probably what happened in your case. But in the case where somebody else, in fact, they're trying to save your life, and they now divert to another airport due to the negligence, assuming that is the case, that is the negligence of another agency. They cannot pay for the negligence of another agency. They can't. What's your clarification, and then we'll take. What's your clarification?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There is what they call vicarious liability. As a matter of fact, ordinarily, just a moment, sir.
There's what they call what? Vicarious liability. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Vicarious liability. Actually, the immediate, the people who the passengers are dealing with is the airline. And that's the person they can deal with and who can solve their problem. But the practice in the aviation industry is such that when the consequence of your action will have to be borne, if the reason for the diversion is caused by fan or the NAMA because of the instrument landing system, first the passengers would have to go to Ghana or to Abuja. They can't meet any fan or NAMA there. They will have to claim, the airline has to make that claim on their behalf. But you cannot say the passenger should go to fan. There will be no relationship.
Well, yeah, interesting, but that's not a proper application of the principle or doctrine of vicarious liability. Vicarious liability is when your employer assumes responsibility for your actions. Now, the airline is not the employer of the agency. The airline cannot in any way be responsible for the negligence of other. Vicarious liability means you, the servant, the employer, you are responsible for the liability of your employee, not even an independent contractor. So there's no vicarious liability here. So it's a wrong application. It's a wrong application. That's misapplication of vicarious liability. But even though you do make a point, but the principle of vicarious liability is what you are saying is that the airline should be responsible, and then they should now get reimbursement from the agency. I'm not sure any airline will want to do that, but yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think I agree also with you on what you said about vicarious responsibility. But I think that the problem we want to solve is what is facing the passenger who suddenly finds himself in an airport which he was not heading to. Exactly. And for the Parliament, I think we also will look at who is here and now who can act to protect him from sleeping in the open or not eating. So instead of tagging only one person, I agree with Faleke that the agency is ultimately responsible. The agency whose fault has led to the diversion But if you wait for the agency, a passenger that may be very literate or may not have enough money, that finds himself in a different airport with an airline will be stopped. So why I think that instead of separating this and making it collective responsibility, so that both the agency and the airline must protect the passenger. The person of interest for us is the victim of, even the airline should have some claims on the agency, but we must tie all of them together and create a multi-dimensional recompense so that the passenger does not suffer for, because a lot of those passengers do not have money. I've had occasions to pay for people who are stranded when they land in an airport where they are not prepared to stay. And to ask you to go back to Nama or and all that is possible. I make a further amendment that instead of individual responsibility, we make a collective.
Okay, yeah, your point is made, but let us look at it this way. If you were running an airline and you know a policy has now been made by the Nigerian government that if the airline should divert flights to Honorable Faleke, so I'm trying to help you here because they are ganging up against you. The point is that if you now make a policy, if you run an airline abroad, you now make it a policy that in Nigeria that if any airline, no matter the cost, no matter who's responsible, if any airline diverts a flight to another country, even though the Nigerian agency is at fault. If you now make that a policy, if I was running an airline, I would cut my losses and not even lift you in the first place. Rather than take you to Ghana, I won't even carry you. So you'll be stranded in Germany or wherever. Because it's all about the bottom line and how much about cutting your losses. So, who's anybody to second the motion? Honorable former chairman aviation is seconding the motion of Honorable Faleke. And I know she knows a lot about the aviation industry because she was a chairman for 4 years.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Minister, I'm Kiruka Onyeji. I represent the good people of Isukwatu Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, Honorable colleagues, before I second this motion, I just want to say something. It's very tricky because the diversion was made, and I know that the first one that happened last year, I was listening to Chair Aviation, interacting with them, and they made some technical issues. You can say, yes, the instrument landing system was not calibrated. It's your word against theirs. You're hearing it from social media. You're hearing it from reports. Nobody has said, they have come to say, this is why the airline was diverted. Assuming, I'm just saying, because we are debating in this floor of the House. We are not with the minister now. It's reported. You understand? So the man is not here. Assuming they come and they say that it was due to bad weather. What happens? If an aircraft is diverted because of bad weather, and the aircraft, instead of landing in Lagos, went to Accra to land, it is responsibility of the airline to take care of the passengers. And if we go that way, we'll be confusing the issues. Bad weather is not in a contention here. The aircraft presumably diverted because it was not safe for them to land because of your ILS instrument that was also that it's a narrow issue. Who now takes responsibility? Yes, it's two legs. Now the airline, you can't see the aviation officials in Ghana. You cannot see them. So it is the airline that the passengers deal with. The passengers will be taken care of by the airline. Then the airline who knows that I'm supposed to land in Lagos, everything was clear. It is just because there are certain instruments that were not operational, or somebody has switched off something from control switch, the airline now could have approached the NAMA, who is supposed to give them clearance, to say, you did this and I will charge for XYZ. And it's applicable. They will not say there's an infraction. So it's two ways. You cannot say, oh, that because you are NAMA and then you are I cost something and then you can't pay. It's not done that way. So what is appropriate in this instance is that because at this stage the motion is saying that there are instrument landing system that's supposed to be upgraded to category 3, which was not done, which the minister accepted. So there's an infraction between, and we're not missing it, there's an infraction by the agency in diverting this thing because they did not do what they're supposed to. That's the point you're trying to make. So what are we missing? We are not mixing it. But the point is this, the motion, the prayer should be that because there's an infraction by these particular agencies and the airline, you cannot say because something did and then you abandon people in Accra and you come back here and say, oh, because you're not the person that has caused the infraction. So two of them should be held liable.
So are you seconding his motion, his amendment? So you have a counter amendment, not a, you're not seconding. Honorable Alims, are you seconding the amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I want us to look at the agreement. The agreement is between the passenger and the airline.
So you're not seconding the amendment?
I'm not seconding the argument.
Okay, we're looking for a seconder. We've closed the debate on Honorable Kuku. Honorable Abdulgani Cook. Mr. Speaker, I represent the good people of Ilorin Federal Constituency, Kwara State. I stand to support the amendment made by the Deputy Chief Whip to the amendment of the Plenary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Faleke, do you yield to that amendment that they should both be held responsible? I think that was the amendment Honorable Kiruka was trying to make. Honorable Kiruka's amendment was that both should be held responsible. Are you yielding to that amendment?
Mr. Speaker, why I said we are missing the issue is the fact that this is to be an additional prayer for the committee to look into. It is only when the committee has done its job and they come out with the findings that we can then say this is the fine, or I mean this agency should be responsible or not. But I support the amendment moved by my brother that both agencies, I mean both the airline and the agencies should be held responsible as part of the prayers.
Which is what Honorable Kiruka said, and which has been seconded by Honorable Olololo Kuku. Those in support of the amendment that the committee should look into the matter and establish liability of. Okay, is your amendment now? So, you've withdrawn your earlier joint amendment. Okay, supported by Honorable Kuku. So, those in favor of the amendment by Honorables Faleke and Fatasadu and seconded by Honorable Kuku, please say aye. Sorry, Honorable Cook. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. clarifying. I thought you had a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It was exactly similar to...
Oh, on the same one, okay.
Yes, thank you, sir.
We move on. Yes, you had a motion, yes. Go ahead. Honorable Naraba also had a motion. I'm not sure we'll be able to get to the other paper, but if it's going to be a quick one, we'll quickly take it. Go ahead.
I have, first, my name is Barwa Shehu. I represent Boso Paikoro Federal Constituency for Niger State. I thank you for this opportunity, allowing me to raise this motion, which I believe its urgency would be respected. And the motion being for the need to urgently overhaul and intensify the National Assembly security system. I believe that it requires an urgency which will be too costly to be postponed. Mr. Speaker, I hereby raise this motion of urgent national importance. And the motion.
Honorable Kuya.
Mr. Speaker, my name is Ademorin Kuye. I represent the good people of Shomolu Federal Constituency. I'm from Lagos State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my colleague here. I so move, sir.
Honorable Kuya, did you second? Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Please move your motion.
This is the need to urgently overhaul and intensify the National Assembly security system. This House notes the recent reportage on page 3 of the Daily Trust newspapers of 13 February 2020, indicating that Boko Haram terrorists may attack the National Assembly according to intelligence report gathered by the management. It further recalls that barely 2 months ago, precisely at the tail end of 2019, the National Assembly complex was attacked by certain resented religious groups communicating into loss of lives and properties. Disturbed that from the previous attack, under reference, the security apparatus of the National Assembly is obviously below the threshold of required for the protection of the National Assembly. Worried that the degree of insecurity in the country speaks volume of the likelihood of such attack in a greater magnitude if we fail to be proactive. Also worried that a terrorist attack on an institution like the National Assembly, which is the constitutional voice of the people,
will be an international ISO on our democracy, given the fact that persons from different kingdoms, chiefdoms, and empires who officially visit the National Assembly, including innocent school kids who call on excursion, could be affected by the ugly incident, if it so happened. Also notes that according to the intelligence report, strange persons have been found around the National Assembly complex, and if confronted at the gate of the complex, were quick to claim being constituents of the lawmakers, either at the Senate or the House of Representatives. Concerned that in the face of the faithlessness of terrorists, the security apparatus of the National Assembly and the environs requires total overhaul. Also concerned that cooperation of the honorable colleagues and distinguished senators is important in this circumstance, given the fact that influx of strangers into the National Assembly complex has been linked to us. Observe that alleged compromise by certain security personnel in the form of receiving tokens from the strangers in order to grant them access to the National Assembly, to the premises, pose serious security threat to the National Assembly complex and its environs. Recognizing that the intelligence unit of the National Assembly deserve commendation for gathering the information that at hand, yet more strategies need to be evolved to prevent any attack on the National Assembly. Also observe that unnecessary delay in issuance of start identity cards compromising security standards of the National Assembly. Concerned that the National Assembly security system has no means of identifying the vendors who carry out businesses within the National Assembly complex. Also concerned that the capacity of the National Assembly shuttle buses is way below the population of the shuttle services, consequently making the road size overcrowded, which is another security threat. Rule of 1. Mandate the House Committee on Internal Security of the National Assembly to further inquire into the instant information. 2. Call on the management of the National Assembly to evolve installing of CCTV cameras and modern scanning systems at the gates and strategic points of the National Assembly complex. 3. Mandate the National Assembly management to introduce screening and registration and issuance of identity cards to vendors who conduct businesses in the National Assembly complex. Lastly, further call on National Assembly management to make provision for more shuttle buses in tandem with the passengers in the National Assembly to decongest the road size of the National Assembly complex. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kuya, please second again and then we put the question. It's a sensitive matter. Put the question. Honorable Kuya, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name remains Ademori Aliu Kuye. I represent Shomolu Federal Constituency. I'm from Lagos State, sir. I rise to second this very sensitive matter of urgent public importance. And just to add that the House Committee on Internal Security should ensure that we have security personnel on our corridors at all times to ensure that loafers who run around those corridors, you know, in the name of coming to see their honorables, are made to go into that office or they leave the premises. I so move, sir. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Very quickly, is Honorable Laraba here. We'll move on to the first order of the day, which is the commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to amend the Council for Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria Act, Cap C 54, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and for the related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Patrick Asadu and Honorable Garba Dati Mohammed. Honorable members will recall that the bills were consolidated on Thursday, 6 February 2020, and I invite Honorable Asadu to move that the bill be read a second time. Honorable Asadu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, and my co-sponsors. May I move that the bill to amend the Act for the regulation of freight forwarding in Nigeria be further amended through this consolidated bill as presented by Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Is Honorable Dati here? Okay, Dom Dati can second the motion.
Right Honorable Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, I remain Honorable Garba Dati Mohammed. I represent Savangari Federal Constituency of Kaduna State. I rise to second this motion as moved by Honorable Asad for second reading. I move.
Honorable Asadu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill, this consolidated bill, is a product of the earlier bill of the last session, which was passed in the House, but which we have found reason for further amendment. And we, especially the House committees, have come up with a bill that we think will not only reform the transport industry in keeping with our aim to enhance the efficiency of our cargo movement, but will also free our ports. The movement of cargo from the origin to the end user is clogged with a lot of players. Essentially, freight forwarders are those who engage in any of the activities that enhance the movement of those cargoes from the factory sites in any part of the world to the consumer's home in Nigeria for the purpose of this bill. This council was established by the CFRFFN Act number 16 of 2007 to try to regulate what was becoming an agboro kind of profession, where any of us who has had any cargo coming into the port will have noticed that between what they call port rats and freight forwarders who are neither trained nor regulated or controllable, we are wreaking havoc on the movement of cargo. So in enacting the original act, the intent of Parliament was that freight forwarding will not just be an all-commerce affair where anybody can wake up in the morning and go to start collecting money from hapless cargo owners. But we noticed that in making that bill, there were key elements that are very important in the Nigerian states, especially as of today, that need to come into play to help the council to discharge its mandate, including but not limited to the fact that the original bill did not make provision for the operators to be registered. If you set up an institute that trains people that had no capacity to register them and collect operating fees and renew licenses, it meant that if those who train and those who didn't train can end up in the port in the morning, and each person will claim that he's freight forwarding. So the initial amendment was aimed at first strengthening the powers of the council to register members they have trained, because the common mandates of the initial act vested on the council was to register and build data, to certify practitioners, to set standard of knowledge and skill, and set standard of practice, and to monitor and enforce compliance. We discovered that without any register of practitioners that have been trained, without operating licenses like medical doctors, these are professionals, who like doctors, like nurses, like engineers, should register and be paying practicing fees, so that the council will first have control over the ways and the practice of those they train. It was also meant to generate internally generated revenue for the council to fund itself, because the initial bill had provided that the council should be self-funded. That council cannot self-fund when it does not collect operating fees. Also proposed in the initial bill that we separate the governing council from the council itself, because from the council as an agency, because it was like operating like an agency without head, and it also created a room where all manner of people were struggling to be recognized as board. But attached on this piece is the lead debate that I have articulated to help members understand why the initial amendment was necessary. First, to give the council opportunity to make the IGR that they needed. But it wasn't just making IGR, it was to regulate and control and set standards and maintain what is happening in other parts of the world, so that we also meet with international standards. But we noticed that with what my brother, the chairman Post and Harbour, has proposed as further amendments, it will bring it, especially the tenure of members and the spread that we had proposed in the first bill, will enhance the final outcome. So my prayer, my honourable colleagues, is that this bill, which was considered and passed in the last session, but now with further very useful amendments proposed by Betty, which I wholeheartedly support, and which are now considered one bill, be passed to the House Committee on Ports and Harbour for further legislative work, so that we come out with a bill that meets the first intendments for the making of the CFFN Act 2007. Those amendments we are all pushing for. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleagues, I so move.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's pretty straightforward. The bill will be now read a second time. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second order of the day is commencement of a debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to amend the... Okay. Clerk, sorry. Read the long title of the bill, please.
Honourable Speaker, honourable members, a bill to an act to amend the Council for the Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria Act, Chapter C454, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria and for related matters. Second reading.
The bill referred to the Committee on Ports and Harbour. Is Honourable Raji here? I understand you want to step down your bill. Honourable Raji, the next bill. Can you step it down?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honourable Raji is not on the floor. I move that the bill be stepped down by the leave of the House. I so move.
The third order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to amend the Federal University of Petroleum Resources (EFRON) Act 2017 and for related matters standing in the name of Honourable Obero Kwefe Anthony Affair. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Tuesday, 17 December 2019, and now invite Honorable Affair to move that the bill be read a second time.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I remain Honorable Chief Oberakwoife Anthony Affair, member representing Ope, Saple, and Ubia Federal Constituency of Delta, a pure Delta. I rise to move a bill for an act to amend the Federal University of Petroleum Resources (EFU) Act 2017 and for other related matters HB 613. I therefore move.
Any seconder, please? Honorable Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Gani Abiodun Johnson, representing the good people of Oshodi Solo, Federal Constituency 2. I rise to support, to second the bill ably moved by my friend, Honorable Affair. Affair. Yeah, I so second, sir. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Affair, please lead the debate.
Mr. Speaker and fellow honorable members, I wish to amend a bill establishing FUPRI as amended as created in 2017. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I humbly crave your attention and support for every proposed amendment sought to be injected into this act, establishing the Federal University of Petroleum Resources (EFRU) laid before these hallowed chambers. The university was founded in 2017 on the authority of the Federal University of Petroleum Resources (EFRU), establishment at 2017 to, among other things, to be a training institution for the development of middle and high-level manpower in the oil and gas sector. Mr. Speaker and fellow members, I submit that the proposed amendment will not increase the recurrent expenditure of the federal government. Rather, it seeks to introduce measures that will eliminate leaks and strengthen the accountability of funds to be appropriated by the university and sourced for the university in the principal act from stakeholders. Mr. Speaker and my colleagues, in section 1, subsection 4 that I sought to amend, the next question I wish to humbly invite the House to appraise is what are the advantages in domiciling this specialized university in Ministry of Petroleum Resources as against Ministry of Education. This is contained in the Principal Act, and it is submitted that the advantages to domicile the university in the Ministry of Petroleum Resources are plenty, and they are as follows. A, it will enable the university to focus on its core mandate of providing solutions to the oil and gas industry. Over time, specialized institutions that were domiciled in the Ministry of Education lost focus and today operate like other conventional universities. So you agree with me that these kind of universities, they are found in Iran, in India, in China, and France. We don't care about the university being established. FUPRI is a specialized university for the oil and gas industry, and there is need for it to be under the ministry of which is created, which is Petroleum Resources. The ministry that operates the oil and gas industry, which is Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources. B, it will also enhance the funding of the university through PTDF and other agencies have directly bearing with the oil and gas industry as envisaged in the Principal Act. This can be coined from the NDDC Act. The NDDC has to do with the revenue that accrued from or to 5% from the Federation account. NDDC does not suck money from other agencies, but from the Federation account for the oil sector, money that accrues to the Federation account for the oil sector. So we are saying that this university should also benefit for such funds. See, proper innovation will also enhance productivity and competitiveness. As university, we also have collaboration with other petroleum universities all over the world. And also facilitate the accomplishment of each system that is the vision behind the establishment of specialized university. So as I said, sir, similar universities are in other countries, oil-producing countries. One is in Abu Dhabi, one is in France, and other countries. It will also help to reduce capital flight as most of the money spent by PTDF, NDDC, and other organizations in training Nigerians abroad can now be used locally to train even more Nigerians and save money, more money for other needs of the government. It will be a cost-saving avenue for our country. Making Fulbright a specialized university also contains the actualization of the Nigerian Local Content Act 2011. It will reduce the impact of expatriates on the long run who only come to take away our resources and wealth because of differences in nationalistic goals. So you agree with me, we that are in Niger Delta, we know that most of the expatriates that come to Nigeria, they are all technical workers. But here they are upgraded as expatriates, specialized engineers, whereas they only have ONG, some certified certificates. But we don't have a university that grooms our own nationals for the oil and gas industry. You also agree with me that the oil and gas industry provides over 80% of our federal revenue. So we need to develop it. We need to develop an institution that will also improve on the manpower of the country. Mr. Speaker, the expansion of the Federal University of Petroleum Technology, FRU, which is FUPRI, is able to become a research-intensive institution that will seamlessly integrate distributed research and education in the oil and gas industry. Emphasis, no other area, no other field. Everything is oil and gas industry. We know we've not been able to harness the gas industry in Nigeria. We have a large potential of gas, which has not been harnessed. With this manpower in this, to be trained by this institution, we have to explore and exploit our gas sector. And also produce world leaders and critical thinkers in applied science, engineering, while catalyzing the growth of Nigeria's rapidly development knowledge in the economy. Fulbright long-term vision, therefore, is to get upgraded to a world-class specialized university in petroleum, petrochemical, and energy studies to provide better services to the world energy industry. We all live in an energy world, and this university will enhance and promote Nigeria in that fair. The long-term vision will actualize, we enable the university to offer professional training of experienced professionals intending to acquire international exposure and expertise in line with overall Nigeria development goals in this millennium. Research body is not cheap, and any serious government will invest on target research area with a common mandate to set goals. This is not easy in a country as complex as Nigeria, which is multi-ethnic with different people with different aims, some of which are selfish, but in terms of, and in turn, delay and derail core mandates. If not properly handled, we will lose track in the oil and gas industry. Right now, we not depend on experts that will revamp our refineries. Nigeria has been relying, producing, all our refineries have been producing at low capacity. But if we have the manpower, as I speak, I'm very sure we will not depend on expertise or experts from other countries to do the turnaround maintenance of our refineries. In light of the above, to be developed the required infrastructure, UAE must be rooted and have its source of life where it belongs. We are saying that for it to get adequate finance, it must be under the Petroleum Resources Ministry, because presently under Ministry of Education is not well funded. It's a specialized university and should remain specialized. In addition, a strong and viable cooperation must be developed with oil and gas companies. Example, we have the Nigeria Defense Academy, Kaduna. It's a university status and is under the Federal Ministry of Defense because of the priority and specialization of the institution. We also have the new Federal University of Transportation, which is under Ministry of Transportation. Just recently, the university was established, and during the course of establishing university, the minister did say that the university has a take-off grant of over 8 billion naira. That is to say that the university would never suffer funding. In Iran, the Petroleum University of Technology was founded in 1937 in response to the increasing industrialization of the oil industry in that country. Fourth, in India, the University of Petroleum is a private and government-owned. This one is in Iran also. We have in France similar university that also takes care of the oil and gas industry, training their manpower to meet the yearning of his country aspiration. Mr. Speaker, I want to pray, Mr. Speaker, and the fellow honorable members to support the amendments as stated in the amendment in the amendment of the Act or of the Principal Act for it to see the light of the day. We need a well-specialized university that will take care of our manpower in the oil and gas industry. I urge honorable members to support this amendment. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, just put the question. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. I have it. Yeah, go ahead, clerk. Long title.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for now to amend the Federal University of Petroleum Resources (FRO) Act 2017 and for related matters, second reading.
Thank you. The bill referred to the Committee on Tertiary Education. Chairman, Business and Rules.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Abubakar Samfulata. I represent the Niwa Krika Sama Guri Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker, from the Gao State. Mr. Speaker, considering time constraints and other schedules of members, I move that items number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 on the order paper be stepped down by the leave of the House. I so move.
Honorable Osai, can you second?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. I represent local Kwani Federal Constituency of Delta State, Mr. Speaker, by His special grace of God. I rise to second the motion, ably moved by the barrister who is the Chairman, Business and Rule. I say second.
Those in favor of a step down, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Leader.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, I rise to move as directed, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, that the House do adjourn till tomorrow, the 19th day of February 2020. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
I believe the House will be adjourning till what time, in view of the fact that we have our luncheon tomorrow?
Senator, as the case may be, depending on the time we rise from there. Let's leave it open. So as soon as we finish that thing, we just resume here automatically.
Is it that we adjourn till 10 or we adjourn till 12 tomorrow? Because the program is at 10. So the House, any seconder, whip.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marte Monguno, Gaza Federal Constituency of Borno State. I second the motion for adjournment heavily moved by the leader of the House.
Honorable colleagues, we have our program tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Let's all be in attendance at the marquee outside. The House stands. Those in favor of the House stand adjourned till tomorrow 12 noon. Please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Ayes have it.